Welcome to NovoEDTalks, where we reveal real-world strategies and expert insights from learning and development professionals. In every episode, we chat with practitioners, course designers, learning strategists, and business leads. We hear about their experiences in the learning industry and predictions for the profession and the trends that they're seeing. But before we get started, a little bit about NovoEd. Founded at Stanford's Social Algorithms Lab in 2012, NovoEd is a people-centric, capability-building platform that combines social and collaborative learning to drive performance readiness at scale. Through cohort-based experiences centered around human interaction, NovoEd taps into collective wisdom, placing each learner at the center of perspective, application, and expertise. Large enterprises such as 3M, GE, Marriott International, and Nestle partner with NovoEd to accelerate their critical initiatives, reconnect teams, and achieve rapid alignment through learning that is felt, experienced, and swiftly transformed into impact. Now, let's meet our guest for today's episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NovoEDTalks podcast, a space for training trailblazers to get real. My name is Melissa Fisk. I'm the producer of the NovoEDTalks podcast, and today I am joined by Andreia Gadioli, who is a leadership and learning specialist at a major hospitality company in Toronto. Andreia's goal is to positively impact individuals' careers by facilitating knowledge and skill development, thereby bridging gaps in adult education. She holds dual bachelor's degrees, one in project management from the United States and another in business administration from Brazil. A notable achievement in Andreia's career was leading the launch of a new resort in Las Vegas, employing 6,000 staff members. She was instrumental in training the entire workforce through a blend of in-person and online classes utilizing the SAP SuccessFactors LMS. That is one incredible feat, Andreia. Thank you so much for joining us today on the NovoEDTalks podcast.
Thanks for having me, Melissa.
Of course. Well, why don't you just start by jumping right in and talking a little bit about yourself, your company, and what your role is there.
Thanks, Melissa. So my career is very focused on being inclusive. So I'm going to do something different today. So I always like to start for accessibility purpose by sharing with the listeners what I'm wearing today, how I look like. So I'm wearing a yellow jacket and a black top, and my eyes and hair are dark brown, and I have olive skin. Now, talking about my career, I began working in learning development back in 2012, same year as when NovoEd was founded. So we share something common. That's fun. So I spent 13 years in this field internationally, as you mentioned. I'm original from Brazil, and in 2016, I moved to North America, where I work in the US for 6 years. And for the past 2 years, I have been based in Toronto, Canada. And one of my passions is about adult learning. It's, from the last 6 years, I work in hospitality industry, and I just love the opportunity to connect, interact with our team members through learning.
That's awesome. I cannot wait to get to the questions where we kind of look back and forward about the industry, because having 13 years and being in so many different places, I'm sure you've got some really great insights to share. But why don't you start by talking about some of your learners, who your learners are that you oversee, and what are their challenges that they face?
Of course, happy to share. So we proud support a multi-generational workforce. We have 4 generations. Our learners range from 7,500 team members, including frontliner professionals to executive leaders. So we are across 23 sites in Canada. So we include Ontario, British Columbia, and Atlantic provinces. With that, you can imagine how diverse it is, our workforce, as Canada also is a country that welcomes and attracts so many talents around the world. And our largest audience are frontline team members who interact directly with our external guests, that we call us in HR internal guests. We interact with our team members, and they interact with the external guests. And our focus is training them, giving all the support, all the resources that they need to succeed in their roles, as they are so important to us. And in addition to them, we support the team members under the HR umbrella, corporate team members, middle managers, senior leaders, and our executive team.
Wow. So a really broad range of learners. Could you talk about some of kind of the biggest workforce development challenges that you all face in your role, trying to reach so many different types of people across so many different kind of channels of the organization?
Do you have time? Just kidding.
We've got plenty.
Everything starts with challenging, and it's the outcomes and the solution that keep me going in this opportunity at work. So, as a large organization across the country, as I mentioned before, one of the challenges is always like, how can we keep all the team members aligned? How we keep them to foster a unique culture of guest excellence. So keeping them training fun and managing different personalities and generations is very challenging. And one common challenge is standing ahead of technology, as technology is not the cup of tea of so many of our team members, as they don't deal with technology daily, right? When they are dealing with the guests, they are most of the time in the casino floor. So they just use sometimes technology once a week. So this is a big challenge. And the way that my manager and I, we like to operate in a hybrid and remote environment, we cannot be at the same time everywhere. So what we do is, she's located in British Columbia, I'm located here in Toronto, and we try to adapt our continuous learning to do something more like self-paced. We try to do micro-learning, anything designed especially for them. So we usually do a lot of things internally. We do like role play scenarios, learning resources to support them remotely. And of course, I cannot forget to mention that one important thing is that we have a strong support at our company. We collaborate closely with our HR sites, our leaders. They have a very important role. So they are always there in person during the day at the site. So they do represent us and help us for sure. So we do appreciate them very much.
Yeah, absolutely. I find like more and more you've got to have, so many people just kind of like involved in understanding how to reach your audience, especially when, they're so diverse. It's like, hey, we need some insight into like best ways to connect with these folks. As the skill sets needed for success continue to shift, what strategies does your team use to ensure that your workforce remains adaptable and prepared?
Yeah, of course. That's a great question. We emphasize a culture of lifelong learning and curiosity. So we promote this growth mindset by offering ongoing professional development opportunities, both formal like courses, certifications, and informal like lunch learn, any type of like celebration about culture, mentorship cycles. So I think this combination helps us to stay responsive to the change, to the strategies of the company, also at the same time empowering those individuals for them to grow with purpose.
That's great. That's great. And so important, I love that like concept of like growing with purpose, because it's hard to, like, I think it's important to come back to that so that you don't get lost in all of the, like, why are we doing this, and it has to kind of tie back to a bigger kind of purpose. How does your team assess and address skills gaps to stay agile in a changing workforce?
Yeah, so strategically, we partner with industry experts. We host 2 internal development days. And one of our coworkers run a successful program called RISE, that is our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging program. And RISE includes monthly resources groups that focus on important and timely topics, helping like to promote this flexibility and adaptability to our team members. So these sessions ensure that team members feel supported and informed about diversity, about the respectful workplace that we want for our culture in order to adapt. So we also encourage a lot of cross-functional collaboration with HR, with the leaders, as I mentioned before, so we can foster this flexibility and resilience with our team members.
That's great. So important. And how do you currently measure the effectiveness of kind of your programs? And do you have any core KPIs that you use to track and measure?
Yeah, that's the thing that I think we try to do our best every day is tracking both quantitative and quality metrics. We collect feedback from learners and managers to access programs, relevance, and impact. Although we are a very small team, it's only my leader and I, we are always looking to improve by implementing the changes right away. I think they need to be effective. If we do have, every time we have a program, we do apply and improve the suggestions by our internal guests. So we send out like surveys after each academy, workshop, development series, or anytime we have any interaction with learners. And we are very open to feedback. We do receive feedback of a way for us to improve and get better, as we want them to have the best experience and keep something fun, right? So our core KPIs include training completion rates. I think all the companies do that. Assessment results, post-training performance improvements. And we have our annual engagement survey, which help us to understand how the team members feel, if they are being trained, if they have support. And overall, of course, it's just one time a year, but we like to hear overall how the company is doing. But the focus on the focus groups that we also implement every time we have the engagement survey, we apply action plans. We host focus groups, including leaders, frontline team members, to better understand during this 1 hour talking with them, asking questions like a podcast, but just making sure that we understand. And we always get so many great ideas from them. So I always have fun doing focus groups. And listening, right? Listening is very important, collaborating with our HR site partners, stakeholders, subject matter experts. They are essential for us. And, they are on the ground. They have the first hand insights from them. So they are very helpful for sure.
That's great. And I love that, like having that, qualitative and quantitative like aspect of it. Like, yes, we need to have like data points that we can refer to always, like that, we have to come up with that, in some form or another to be able to kind of like measure things. But, we also need that like kind of anecdotal data from focus groups, like you mentioned, just so that you can really hear from people, right? I think especially so in this space, just because, you're working with other people. So it's like you have to kind of get that like raw, authentic feedback from people that sometimes we can't like measure in a data point. So I love that. Do you have an example of a successful case study or an L&D or mentoring initiative that you've done that has significantly impacted employee performance and contributed to the overall success of the organization? I know we opened in your bio with a very powerful example of that. I don't know if you want to talk about that or something else, but I would love to hear what you have to share.
Yeah, certainly. Many successful cases come to my mind. I can start with one currently that is my babe, so to speak, the one that I'm very big fan right now. It's our Speaking with Confidence program. So we developed this internally to announce our team members' communication and public speaking skills. And it's very fun. It's functioned like an internal Toastmaster classroom type. We got inspired from Toastmasters. And we build like a very trust and supported environment for them to feel comfortable first, because so many people are afraid of public speaking. It's one, number one bigger fear right now nowadays, especially working in the remote environment right now. So they safely practice public speaking. They receive from us. Everyone has a different role, and we receive constructive feedback and have fun in the process. And this was something that I could see very tangible right away from the past 6 months, that how much they grow, and it's visible. It's very fun, and the I can tell like from the 10 people that I usually do the groups with, they overcome their fear of public speaking, they are getting more confident, and they often take important steps towards their careers. So if they want to become like a manager or a leader, and that was the skill that was missing, I can tell that it's one of my favorite projects at the moment. And I can also give you another successful, I think, talking about Las Vegas during COVID. I opened a casino in Las Vegas. That was the craziest project in my life for sure. It was challenging. I was part of the pre-opening and post-opening casino team. And we had to train people, 6,000 employees in 3 months before the opening. I was like training people, doing onboarding, wearing masks. So it was kind of fun and challenging, but I learned so much. I grew so much after that. We were implementing SAP at the same time, and success factors. We tried to do everything e-learning, but of course we had to adapt and we had to do a lot of in-person training because of the use of technology was very challenging for our audience. But yeah, it was fun, it was good. I'm sure like I grew so much on my career. And after that, I'm not afraid of opening a new casino. So
Yeah,
that
I feel
was
like
fun.
you couldn't do it in a harder environment, right?
Yeah.
That's great though. And I'm sure that gave you really, really like great insights into just like in person and online because you're doing both at the same time and figuring out like what was working like in real time. Um, that's awesome. That's a really, really great experience for you and great for the company and just a great learning experience in general. What role does technology play in your programs and how do you leverage tools and platforms to kind of enhance learning experiences? I know you've mentioned the LMS platform you use. It sounds like you rely pretty heavily on that. Do you have other things that you go to?
Yeah, technology plays a crucial role for our team to launch all the programs in a successful way, of course, hybrid remotely. So we utilize the learning management system, Connect, our Oracle for everything. But we also use Articulate, Rise 360. We do a lot of Microsoft Team virtual classrooms, workshop using breakout rooms, doing something fun, engagement, bringing like role play scenarios that makes everyone be more engaging using the chat box, using some tools and interactions. So those tools enable us to effectively scale our programs, like while customizing everything internally to meet, like the variety of learnings that we have and to keep everything interactive. So this is, I think, the goal for my team, always keep it engaging so people don't feel like, oh, another training that I have to do. So definitely Articulate and Rise has been great. They have so many tools. The web version, it's amazing, and we use those the most with the most interactive videos and role plays that we can do. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thinking back, kind of switching gears a little bit here and thinking back to just the industry in general, which I'm sure you've had great insight into, especially through your COVID experience there.
Mhm.
How would you say kind of learning and development and mentoring programs have evolved over the past 5 years? Like, what are some of the key takeaways?
Yeah, I think team members, employees, they want learning that fits into their flow of work and aligns with their career goals. So I think the most challenging is like adapt, right? How to be flexible, how to be more interactive, more engaging. So from the past 5 years, I have seen so many new tools, AI, so many new options for us to improve, and that's great. So it's so easy to work with them. Of course, that end user can be a little have some fears and challenges, but for us, I think it's just amazing how many tools and resources we have nowadays. So feedback and surveys help us a lot to perform better learning analysis and identify and implement more effective approaches. And the self-paced academies, everything that a variety of courses that we can implement, focusing on those people, like those team members, and they can complete at their own pace. So people like flexibility, they do like to, have time to complete the training. So I think the self-paced portion nowadays is something that is very fun. It's very successful methodology so far. And for our senior leadership, this is challenging too, because they are very adapted, very good, very curious about, AI, about technology. So it's challenging also to keep them like curious about everything. So for them, these audience, they have fewer opportunities nowadays to interact and collaborate more with other, because they work in 23 different sites, so they don't have a lot of in-person connection. So the way that we do it's kind of putting them online in breakout rooms to interact more, to do more networking, to share their struggle, their difficulties, their conflicts. So in those conversations, they all appreciate how much they learn from others leaders. So yeah, technology adaptability in those past 5 years, it's been fun. I do like. So for me, I think it's great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely been a wild time, and just kind of looking at where we were 5, 10 years ago, which doesn't seem that long ago, but
Mhm.
in terms of how far we've come with technology, it seems like lifetimes ago, right? In some ways.
Mhm.
Speaking
Mhm.
of kind of on the flip side of that question, as we look to kind of what's coming in the next 5 years, especially with AI and crazy rapid tech advancements, like what are you kind of looking at as what's to come, and like how are you going to leverage some of, or like adapting to these next or technologies as they're coming?
Yeah, I think because technology evolves so quickly, can be overwhelming too. So on the flip side, we have to make sure, especially from the frontline team members, talking about my organization right now, we have to prioritize ensuring that everyone feels safe and comfortable with everything that is changing, with the tools that they use. So I think providing support and assistance is essential for us before we jump to all the new technologies. They have everything in person that they also have to deal with. Now, like for them to at the casino floor, they have so many opportunities to use AI, to use machines, to use everything so much like improved from the past. So it's essential for them to feel comfortable. It's essential for them to feel supported, to have all the training necessary, all the guidance, and we are there to support them, of course. So we are piloting an internal project that is explore psychologically safety by using a Lencioni assessment tool. And in this team, we are trying to better understand and support our team members. So we go to each department, and their leader is going to implement those self-assessment tools, and they're going to provide us throughout the data from the results, what it is working, what it is not working psychologically for them, how can we support them better. So our goal is to create something seamless, something adaptable, finding from their feedback how can we improve, create some action plans, some learning tools and resources that directly meet their needs, in just instead of going like, oh, this is AI, we can use it this way. Let's make the environment comfortable first, and then we can see what it works better for them, what is not working. So I think we have just to be careful, because it can be overwhelming, and we don't want them to fear technology. We want them to accept, right?
Yeah. I love that. And that's such a unique way of like what people are going, like I have never heard something that, and that's what's so cool about doing this podcast and asking these questions, like how people are using tech, and like, and in some ways it's like really using it to get, yes, it's technology, but I love that what keeps kind of coming up is that people are using it to get like more in touch with like humans at their core, and using technology to do that, like versus like replace humans. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a really beautiful thing to kind of hear that again and again and in unique and different ways like that. It's awesome. Andreia, to close on a positive note, what's the most important lesson you've learned as a leader that you'd pass on to someone just starting their journey?
I love this question. I think one of the most important lessons I learned in my career, especially working across 3 different countries and cultures, I think the most common and fundamental desire everywhere is similar in a workplace environment. It's to be truly heard. So that means working with empathy, being vulnerable and honest with your team members. I think the way that I feel adapted, I feel confident, and I feel at home, kind of my team is my family is just how I feel, like how I want to stay at that company because I can feel that my team is honest, it's open, like that culture of trust. It's one of the most important things nowadays, in my opinion, uh, to keep working in a place. You have like work life balance, you go to work like smiling, you feel heard, you can implement your projects. And like with 4th generation in the workplace and the rich culture diversity we experience living in Canada, I think the people here value a lot of most now to stay in their jobs with great leaders. And in my opinion, what make great leaders is the leaders who support them rather than micromanage them. So the way to feel safe and have a healthy work balance, in my opinion, it's when you learn and grow best, when you feel listened, supported, and when you apply empathy. So empathy for me is the goal. Emotional intelligence is go. EQ can definitely be learned. So it's something that can be developed over time. So set this skill to yourself. This is my advice. Be a successful leader by just learning, listening, and being empathetic.
Absolutely. It's so important. And I think like anyone responsible for any other person or working with any other group, like could really benefit from that. And it really, like remember that we're all just humans. We've all got our own stuff going on. Like we're all just trying to like do our jobs, work through it, handle our lives at the same time. A lot some days. So I love that. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for joining us on the NovoEDTalks podcast today. It was an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thanks, Melissa. It was my pleasure too. Have a lovely day.
Awesome. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in once again to the NovoEDTalks podcast.